Hello, today I'm going to demonstrate some powerful features of PearDeck and explain some uses that I really like and have found successful. PearDeck is an add-in in PowerPoint or Google Slides that allows you to transform a normal PowerPoint or Google Slides presentation into an interactive and engaging instructional tool with a variety of question types. PearDeck is free, but there are some premium features that must be paid for. Educators get a discounted rate. Before I begin my demonstration, I just want to make note of how easily accessible it is for students. Because LPS uses Microsoft products and eSchools and Microsoft are linked, I use it with PowerPoint, which is a Microsoft product, as opposed to Google Slides. This makes it a seamless process for students to enter and engage. They don't need to log in, they don't need a username and password. They simply click the link that I send via Zoom chat, and they are in with their first and last name and student ID as you would see it in tech. They don't even have the opportunity to change their name, which I find a plus. To access PearDeck, we have to be in the web-based version of whichever one you're choosing to use. For this demonstration, it will be in PowerPoint. The first thing you need to do is go to Insert and Add-ins and download and add the PearDeck add-in. To access PearDeck, you have to be in the Home tab, and then you go over to the three dots and you'll find it at the bottom. You'll see once you open PearDeck that you have a few options. You can present with PearDeck, which is what we're going to do in a moment. I'll talk about student paste and instructor paste. Then you can see that there's a library that you can borrow slides from. This slide here is borrowed from there. And then these are the variety of question types. Typically, I use draw or choice. There are so many things that you can do with PearDeck, but today I'm just going to demonstrate how I use it in my classroom. So click Present with PearDeck. I usually present in instructor paste activity, which makes it so that when I click to a new slide, their presentation goes to that slide as well. You have the option to present in student mode, where they progress on their own, or you can do a combination of both, which is what I usually do. Start in instructor mode, and then when released to practice, I change it to student paste. They can then go back and view examples or notes that we have taken before that point. From here, I would click Give Students a Link, so it's copied to the clipboard. I would send that in the Zoom chat, and I'm going to open up the teacher dashboard. So on the left-hand side, I have my teacher dashboard, and then on the right, I have a student preview. So this is what a student sees when they enter. By default, through PearDeck, they're asked to rate how they're feeling upon entering, or they can just skip. I also usually include a similar type of question upon entering where they drag their heart to how they're feeling. As you can see, I can see this in real time, how this student is responding. From the dashboard, you can see the class roster. So I'll see all the students that have entered. If a student has entered and then got kicked off for some reason, you can also see that. If you have the premium version, you can also invite a co-teacher and they have the same view that you have. Once I have most of my students entered, I'll go to the next page, which includes a Do Now to get them prepared for math class. You can see that it moved their page as well because we are in instructor paste mode. So they have the ability to draw with a pencil, highlighter, line, text, eraser, and then they can clear or undo over here. In this example, it asks to identify the error or circle the error. So a lot of my students would simply take the highlighter and circle. And you can see that it appears in the dashboard right away. I can star the answer to showcase later anonymously. If it's incorrect or you just want to provide some reinforcement, you can type right within the presentation. If it's inappropriate, you can hide the response as well. So right now I'm the only student in this demonstration, but when there are others, you will see a list of students down at the bottom that have not responded, and you can prompt them to respond. One quick thing before I continue with the demonstration is upon entering, the students were asked to rate how they're feeling with a smiley face, green, yellow, red, or they could skip. I skipped, so mine's not appearing here, but if a student responds with a red smiley face, you can see it, and typically I would take a moment and just send them a message in the chat to make sure everything's all right. So just going through these next few slides, these are not interactive. These are just the objectives, the agenda, and then we'll go all the way down here. So students were working on error analysis, using sentence frames to describe the error with some keywords and the PEMDAS visual. This lesson was for an Algebra 1T course, which only has students whose native language was Spanish. So you'll see a lot of translating in the directions. All of our Ls have been explicitly taught to split screen. So on one screen, they'll have their presentation where they have the ability to respond. And then on the other side of the screen, they would have the Zoom window, which is showing my screen. The most effective way I've used PearDeck has been through gradual release of responsibility. So they'll have their screen split and they can see my screen and theirs, and I will demonstrate a few examples. And for the first few, they will simply copy the solutions on their page. This will also make it so that when I release them to the student-paced activity, they can go back and I know for sure that they have correct solutions in the beginning. So by the third or fourth example, we should be getting to guided instruction. So students are solving these independently, but we're whole group and I can intervene as needed or provide reinforcement. Let's say a student has answered incorrectly, as I have here. You can star their answer and then you can click Show Responses, and this will anonymously present solutions. When I do this, I really like to use the My Favorite No strategy and really talk about what this person was thinking when they answered this way. At this point, I've released students to practice in pairs and breakout rooms. And while I like to jump around to the different breakout rooms, usually there are a few students that need my help the most. But I can still see students' responses here. So if I see something that needs to be addressed immediately, I'll jump into that other room. If you're finding that you need to stop and address a misconception whole group on the spot and you haven't prepared for it, you also have the opportunity to click New Prompt. And then there are some pre-generated by PearDeck. If you wanted to just draw on something and give an example, you can just do that. There's a variety of options that you can throw in on the spot. I forgot to mention that when released to practice in breakout rooms without my direct support, I would click here and turn on Student Pace. This then gives them the opportunity to move freely within the presentation. So now they have the arrows down here. So they can go back and forth and look at examples that have been completed already. While this is happening, I can also see a student that if they're stuck on the wrong slide, I can guide them to the correct location. After partner work, I would bring them back whole group and I would have students take turns reading their solutions. And again, I would have monitored their solutions while they were working because I can see their work in real time here. After that, I would provide them with a ticket to leave that allows them to synthesize their learning from the lesson. I hope you found this demonstration helpful, or at least gained some insight into how powerful PearDeck could be. To summarize, I find PearDeck interactive and engaging and easy to use, which is important. If you already know how to use PowerPoint, then integrating PearDeck won't be too difficult. You can monitor and ensure maximum participation and engagement, and I think this can be integrated into any course at any level in any content area, not just math specific. Thank you all for watching.